Hey YouTube, the Casual Cutter back again with the all-new Hunter by HEA Designs. You may have watched my unboxing video of this knife, and this video is going to be all about my overview and opinions after carrying the knife for the past 5 days. I want to preface this video by coming right up front and saying that this is one of the most impressive, if not the most impressive knives in this price point that I can even remember. I was really leery when I first saw this knife because the design is futuristic and it's just not quite my typical style. If you have seen the other knives in my collection, this one kind of stands out like a sore thumb. So there was that. Second off, I really didn't need another small folding knife. I have quite a few, and it just wasn't on my agenda to pick up another one. And last but not least, this little thing here. Yeah, this knife is a front flipper, and I've never had a front flipper ever in my life. I've never even touched one. So those three things kind of kept the Hunter off my radar. But then at the end of January, this knife became available. And once the first few orders started to roll in and people started to give their feedback and their impressions, and I started to see videos of this thing in action, I had to do it. I had to see what all the fuss was about. So if you've seen my unboxing video, you already know that this thing comes with a ton of extras from Sam over at HEA Designs. It comes with stickers, a felt carry case, cleaning cloth, what else? A patch, handwritten note by the designer. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, go back and check it out. But this video is going to be about what I learned about this knife and what I've come to love and appreciate about this knife over the past 5 days. So let's get into it. If you don't know, it is a titanium frame lock flipper, front flipper, and it's small. Not tiny by any means, but overall open length is 6 3/4 inches, and the handles are 3.85. Onto the blade, that is 2.85 inches. Making it under 3 inches and pretty much legal to carry almost everywhere in the country for my United States people. Let's just start with a quick size up. CRKT Pilar. Let's get this out of the way. All right, so it's a little bit bigger than a Pilar. And then I have a Spyderco pair of 3 here, and it's a little bit smaller than a pair of 3. So it's kind of the Goldilocks between these two extremely common knives. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of knives in this size range. I just picked up the new sprint run of the Fox Suru. Let's just throw that there. So, you know, the last thing I really needed to have is another small folder. But I was intrigued, and I had to just had to experience it for myself. Let's get into materials, I guess. Obviously, titanium frame lock that's been media blasted to a really gorgeous finish on it. It's smooth, but it's not slippery. It looks good. It does relatively well with hiding fingerprints, which I noticed a lot of satin finish type frame locks or show scales can pick up fingerprints a lot, and this one does a good job at hiding it. Show scale, the one that I have is in carbon fiber, and another great thing about this knife is it comes in 7 total variations, 6 G10 variations and 1 carbon fiber. So if you get the carbon fiber, this is what you get. You get a satin and kind of, I guess you can call that bead blasted finish. Got the satin flats and the bead blasted grind. This is the only way the carbon fiber comes. The G10 models, there's a bunch. You have them available in black G10, green G10, orange and gray, and then a couple of those are available with black grinds and satin flats. So there's flavors for everyone. But man, I don't even know where to start. So I guess we can go over design. Yeah, let's do that. Already got out of the way that it's a front flipper, which I picked up on super fast. In my unboxing video, I was a mess. I didn't know how to actuate this thing. It was all new to me. It was like I was a newborn baby deer trying to walk for the first time. And it was a sad display of what this knife can do and what it's, how much fun it can be. So you basically have a ton of different ways to open this. You have the front flipper, which is, for all intents and purposes, the primary mode of deployment. So I learned how to use one. Basically just flick it open with your thumb like that. But there's also other ways that you can play around with that little tab. Index finger. Basically just place your index finger on the jimping on the tab, and then you can actually slow roll it, but you can flick it, and it's going to open like that, which is super cool. You can deploy and close, you know, with basically the same hand position. You can also do this little nifty trick, which is place your pinky on the flipper tab, and it rockets out in reverse grip. How practical is that? Probably not practical at all, ever. But sure as hell is fun to play with. So, yeah, front flipper is there. What's great about this knife too is that it does have the thumb hole deployment. So you can slow roll this knife if you want to, okay, which is the least menacing form of deploying any folding knife. You can also spidey flick it with authority, might I add. Spidey flick's awesome. And you can thumb flick it, which for me, I kind of have the hardest time with that. I don't know if it's, I mean, it'll do it, but I don't know if it's my jacked up thumb. Yeah. I also have lotion on my hands because I've been outside, so they're a little slippery. But anyway, take my word for it. You can probably get away with, there you go, thumb flicking it. But like I said, there's so many different ways to open this knife that it's just, it's fun. So yeah, I got caught up. I'm going to get caught up in possibly slightly giddy over certain things about this knife. I got to stay on track. Design, yeah. 2.85 inch long blade. The stock is 1/8 inch thick, so it's still it's a pretty stout blade. I mean, for its size, it's not you know, it's not a scalpel by any means, stock wise. However, it is extremely thin behind the edge. It tapers down awesome, and shaving sharp out of the box. The blade steel is 154 cm, and it's a aggressive clip point Bowie-esque, futuristic Bowie type of a blade. I mean, futuristic is the overall theme of this knife, and from what I've seen, most of Sam's designs all have that type of feel to it. But yeah, I mean, I was not the biggest fan of the blade shape in pictures, but once I got the knife in hand and got to use it and got to really appreciate it, it grew on me a lot. And the tip is essentially a needle. Extremely fine tip. However, I actually think for as fine as this tip is, I think my Spyderco Yojimbo 2 that I used to have was actually even finer. So if you're afraid of breaking this tip off, I don't know. I wouldn't be all that worried about it. I mean, as long as you're using this knife for what it's meant for, which is a small EDC folder, I wouldn't be worried about breaking that tip. And don't try to pry open any car doors with it. Other than that, I was using this the other day to do some draw cuts on paper and vinyl, and it was just surgical in its precision. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, design. Okay, show scale here. This is the carbon fiber one. You can see that it has these milling patterns. There's a lot of recurring themes in this knife. You have the circular, polished, really nicely detailed pivot cap there with the HEA logo, and it actually carries over to the other side, which is kind of unnecessary, but, you know, hey, he threw it in there. So no complaints there. A lot of reoccurring themes with the circles. You got the milling on the pocket clip, which is excellent, by the way. This clip goes in and out of the pocket very, very easily. It's not too stiff at all. Got those cutouts there in the titanium. It's got another circle cut out in the scale itself. And then what I noticed is when the knife is open, you have that aggressive clip point on the blade, and then you have this angle on the handle, which kind of mirrors it a little bit. So, I mean, I notice all these new things and styling cues and purposeful designs all the time, every day, every time I take this thing out. Got that full-length backspacer there with this milling pattern, another circle there. Another cool thing I noticed is the jimping on the flipper tab is there so that you can catch it and open the knife. But it also lines up perfectly with where it needs to be when the knife is open. I mean, that's obviously an intentional design element and well thought out, and it just works. Another thing I love about this thing is the sounds it makes. I mean, you could hear when it opens, audible, lock up. I mean, even the detent. Listen to the detent. Ready? It snaps right into place, and it just sounds good. You can also flick it shut, by the way. Ridiculously smooth. While we're on the topic of action, it's rides on a ball bearing pivot system. I believe, I don't see it listed anywhere, but I believe they're ceramic bearings. I know the detent ball definitely looks like it's ceramic. It's got that blackish color. You're not going to be able to see it. But anyway, I haven't taken this thing apart yet. I will take it apart probably between now and the weekend, and I'll do a disassembly video, I guess, and then we'll know for sure if the bearings are indeed ceramic. But yeah, I mean, this is a knife. I mean, this is in my opinion, this is kind of like a perfect knife for its size and intended use. And I'm someone who's never had a front flipper before and was always scared of them and didn't like this type of styling necessarily right off the bat. And I fell in love with this knife in 5 days. I don't know what else to tell you. The ergonomics are also very good. I wear a size large glove, all right? I don't have, bare paws, but I wear a size large glove. And with this handle length of 3.85 inches, and I'm assuming that's from the most distal part there all the way down to the end. 3.85 inches, I can get a full 4-finger grip on the knife. And for a knife that's this size, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Handle to blade ratio right there, take a look. While we're at it, check out the blade centering. As close to perfect as I could ever hope for. Let's check out the lockup. Early, but not bad. I'd say 25% or so. Weight on this guy is 2.8 ounces in the G10 versions and 2.7 in the carbon fiber. So it's a light knife. You know, I would say, I mean, for me, anything under 3 ounces is light, whether it's large or small. But yeah, I mean, it's got some substance to it. It doesn't feel like a Benchmade bug out where sometimes it feels like it's made out of paper, which is kind of the opinion I had of the bug out. But anyway, I'm not the biggest fan of that knife in its stock configuration anyway. But yeah, it's got a little bit of you know, heft. I mean, you know it's there, but it's not heavy. 2.7 ounces. So there's that. Stainless steel hardware and pivot on this guy. You're not going to get titanium hardware. It's got obviously lanyard hole built in if you're going to use that, and that lanyard hole goes straight through the back spacer. So if you're into lanyards, it will work with this knife. What else, guys? I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than I freaking love this thing. It's not for everybody. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. It's not going to be a knife for everybody. But for a guy who didn't think it was for him and now is pretty much infatuated with it, I can only give you my opinions. This isn't a review of the knife. This is how I feel about the knife after carrying it for 5 days. This is an overview of the features and the attributes and the facts. So, I cannot be held responsible if you get this knife and absolutely hate it, and I will not be responsible if you get this knife and are so in love with it that it just totally ruins you forever. So that's a disclaimer. I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. It's a beautiful thing. And, you know, I personally cannot find anything that I would make better about this. I mean, design and aesthetics, that's all Sam. That's all HEA Designs. I would love to see one of these in a smooth, maybe OD green canvas micarta. But it's HEA Designs. It's Sam's baby. It's his design. So I'm not going to pick it apart. And it's beautiful in the state that it's in right now. But that's aesthetics. Not everybody likes the same stuff. But this is definitely a knife where, like so many knives, doesn't look super attractive necessarily when I first see it in pictures. But once I get it in hand and I play around with it and I use it, I come to appreciate it for what it is, and it becomes more attractive visually to me. And that is definitely the case in this knife. So, I mean, I'm sure I've missed some things because I'm going into this video just being excited. I mean, I'm shooting from the hip. This is what I feel after the time that I've carried this and used it. And, you know, you could do this thing with it, right? Like, open it up. So there's just so many ways to fidget with this, and I don't know, guys. I'm impressed. I'm rambling on about this thing, and if you're still here watching, God bless you. And I appreciate it. Now, there's pictures of this on my Instagram. You're probably going to see more pictures of it because I'm probably going to be carrying it for a long time, quite often. So if you're thinking about buying the HEA Hunter, hopefully this gave you some insight. Hopefully, it helped you in some way. Maybe now that you saw this video, you absolutely don't want it. Who knows? But at this point in the game, I cannot say anything bad about it, really. I mean, what you see is what you get. And if you're in the market for a compact folder with a stellar action, so many ways to play around with and just have fun with. It's a pretty good slicer for what I've used it for. I've opened some giant dog food bags with it for my 4 crazy dogs. Like I said, I was cutting a lot of paper and vinyl, opening packages, boxes. I mean, it's a slicer for sure. So, final consensus on the HEA Hunter. It's a total winner. It's a total keeper. And I would buy another one of these in a heartbeat if it came in micarta. So, Sam, if you're watching, micarta's big right now. I don't know if you knew that. Just hop on Instagram. Everybody loves micarta. I love micarta. Green micarta, green canvas. Do it up. I'll pick up another one. All right, guys, I think that's it. It's been fun. And thanks for listening to me ramble for this entire time. If you have any questions about this knife, feel free to drop down into the comments and ask away. You can also find me on Instagram at @thecasualcutter. And I'd love to hear your feedback as well. If you have one of these, if you love it, drop down below, leave a comment. Whatever you have to say, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, like the video. Subscribe if you're into pocket knives and EDC stuff. And I'll keep making videos. There you go. HEA Hunter. Casual Cutter out. I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.